This is the Flabbergasted podcast, where we just can't believe you haven't seen it. Every episode, we discuss a movie that one of us has seen and the other hasn't. Follow us on Instagram @FlabberPod and subscribe in your podcast app of choice. I'm your host, Jessica. Let's get to it. Today, we're talking about Men in Black, a 1997 action, adventure, comedy, sci-fi film starring Will Smith and Tommy Lee Jones and directed by Barry Sonnenfeld.
Seinfeld.
There's an extra N in there.
Sondheim.
No. Okay, so Rogge, this movie was never even really on your radar, I'm sure.
No, I mean, I've definitely, Men in Black, I think, is really famous. And, you know, you see there's memes of them like with the sunglasses on holding the neuralizer things. And
was it on your radar?
I just missed it somehow.
Before the one came out with Thor and Valkyrie?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Honestly, probably more so. I mean, like, I never heard anyone be like, wow, what a good movie, the newest Men in Black. So, I mean, I think it's kind of one of those, it's almost like E.T. and something from like the 90s that had like cultural resonance into the early mid 2000s, like references to it. I knew there was a talking dog, I think.
Yes, us coming in with the dogs in the movies.
Mm-hmm. This dog lives, no problem. Unlike No Country for Old Men. This dog does just fine. Yeah, I don't know. I was 6 when it came out, or 5 or whatever. But then over those next few years, when you'd think that we would have rented it and watched it at home or something, my dad was just renting black and white and silent films and stuff from the library. And like, there's like a whole 10-year gap of like pop culture stuff that I just never got to see.
I'm pretty sure that I saw this in theater with my cousin Holly and my sister. Maybe. Like, I'm like 98% certain.
It was like a blockbuster, I'm sure. I think it did really well, right?
Oh, yeah, I think so. My mom may have gone with us. It was definitely, you have Tommy Lee Jones coming in for pretty much everybody who likes Tommy Lee Jones. And then you had the younger people coming in for Will Smith and his comedic presence. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, Will Smith was like really on a heater at that point. I mean, this is not long after Independence Day and not long before Wild Wild West.
Yes.
And he's doing his rapping and he's got Fresh Prince.
Yeah,
and I'm sure there's something else I'm missing. I Robot a couple years after this.
Probably more than a couple.
Really? You put
I
Robot later than 2001?
I'm looking it up right now because 2004. So
wow. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Quite a bit. Okay, so you texted me during the credits and you're like, oh my gosh, these are really long credits.
There was a big opening credit scene. I mean, the music was good. We're just really emphasizing the whole bug aspect. I did not realize it was going to be a big bug movie.
Okay, that's fun.
Yeah.
I did write down, like, while we were watching it this time, this is something I always thought the beginning was cool, right? But the credits are really interesting with like the really thin letters and the music. And I wrote down, I actually said it to Jeremy when we were rewatching it, sort of reminds me of Beetlejuice. And Jeremy's like, yeah, it's Danny Elfman. I'm like, did he do the music for Beetlejuice? And so I just looked it up. And by the way, he did do the music for Beetlejuice and Men in Black. And you're shaking your head because you don't know Beetlejuice.
I know it, but I've not seen it.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm shaking my head because we should have chained this with Beetlejuice. Beetlejuice month next month. Winona Ryder?
Yeah, Winona Ryder. And Catherine.
Michael Keaton is from the first Spider-Man movie.
Batman.
I haven't seen any of those.
Yes, technically, yes. He's also
Vulture.
in
He plays
Spider-Man.
Vulture.
Yeah.
Correct.
Oh my gosh. And Kevin McAllister's mom, Catherine
McAllister.
O'Hara?
I don't know.
Kevin McAllister from Home Alone.
Home Alone. Mm-hmm.
His mom.
Okay.
Do you know her?
I've seen Home Alone.
Okay. So you know his mom?
I mean, kind of.
She's hilarious.
She's not like in Home Alone that much. Home Alone is about Kevin by himself, and there's like 3 15-second scenes of them like trying to
Of the
pack
rest
up the
of the
other
family,
kids. Yeah,
yeah.
there's not a lot of Kevin's
She's
mom.
hilarious. She's in that as well. And I can't remember who the dad is in that movie. Anyways,
Beetlejuice?
we've totally gone off.
Christopher
Beetlejuice and Men in Black, same music guy.
Yeah, I've heard of Danny Elfman.
Okay. So that made me feel good that I connected the two, but you didn't realize this was going to be a bug movie.
Correct.
And then my question was, what did you think was going to happen to this bug that we're following through the night? Because it's very intense.
I thought it was going to be an alien.
Yeah.
I thought he was going to be an alien bug. And turned out there was a whole different alien bug.
And then he just splats and bam, we're good.
Yeah. I was like, I was paying attention to it. And then I was just like, oh, Vincent D'Onofrio's in this? And I was like, this bug is still on. Like, I thought we were going to follow a mosquito, and then we were going to follow a bird, and we were going to follow a couple different things.
Right.
But then we just kept following the mosquito, and I got bored with the mosquito.
So we get to, the beginning is like really sets you up. There's a roadblock of cops, and it's illegal aliens.
Yeah.
But not the extraterrestrial aliens.
Right. That's my first note, is that I saw the pun coming.
Yes.
Like, I know enough about Men in Black to know that it's about aliens. And so when you're talking about immigration, it's like, okay, this is what's happening here.
So anything fun about that whole sequence?
It was like very 90s. At this point, I was still not sure, like, is this a comedy? Is it an action movie? I mean, obviously they have like their explosive alien guns or whatever. And so I was just kind of like, what's going to happen here? I mean, I thought it was okay. Obviously, let's get out of the way. D was a liability. It made sense. They had to cut him. He falls down and he fumbles with his gun. It's like, okay, you fumble with your gun. And then he's like, D, let's go. We cut back to him. He's just still fumbling the same way. You're like, come on, man. Like, you got to be better than that. You can't be letting Tommy Lee Jones down here.
What did you think about Tommy Lee Jones as Agent K? Like, is that you're like, I buy it. I like him.
Yeah, I thought it was really good. Rachel immediately noted that she goes, he's already so old, but he's so much younger than he is now.
Yeah.
And he still had it enough. I mean, they made a big show about how much Will Smith was running around compared to Tommy Lee Jones. Was like, purposely like taking shortcuts or getting in the car or whatever. He was like, I'm not going to run around
smarter,
like that.
Not
yes,
harder, buddy.
Exactly.
Let's just see. I'm curious the age difference between Tommy Lee Jones and Will Smith.
At that point, Will Smith couldn't have been more than 30, right? 28, 1997.
I'm looking this up right now. On my phone, Rogge has his laptop. Who's going to get there first?
22 years. Will Smith was born in 1968.
Jeremy's going to get there first.
So he was 29.
For our listeners at home, with 22 years apart.
I bet Jeremy has a whole app that just lets him type in two celebrities' names. It tells you how far apart they are in age.
Okay, yeah, I agree. Tommy Lee Jones was definitely older, but yeah, way younger than he is now. 15 minutes into this movie, you've already happened upon 3 storylines.
I guess that's true. You've got Will Smith sprinting after the cephalopoid. You've got Tommy Lee Jones introduced. And then you've got the bug Vincent D'Onofrio.
Yeah.
Was he still supposed to look like Vincent D'Onofrio after he got into the skin suit?
So I have a whole thing about that. It's crazy.
Well, we should just do it then, because I don't know what's going on there.
Okay, so he looks like Vincent D'Onofrio, but then
kind of
maybe like a very young, fresh Vincent D'Onofrio.
Are you talking about when he was still alive? Like when he cocks his gun and stuff?
Yes.
Oh yeah, he did. No, he did at that point. Yeah.
Very young, very fresh. And then, which by the way, I thought it was funny. The only thing that pulls its weight around here is my truck.
Yeah.
Bam, the truck's gone.
Just some casual
as I'm watching
verbal
this
domestic
movie,
violence.
I'm remembering like all these one-liners in there. That's just amazing. I still reference those today. So he looks all nice and fresh. The bug eats him, which we don't actually know that he eats him. He basically like attacks him and drags him down into the hole.
And sucks out everything but his skin.
Yeah. And he still kind of like looks like Vincent D'Onofrio, but the makeup is kind of off.
It's off.
So I don't know if that was prosthetics.
Yeah.
If it was just like, I don't know how they did it, but they made him look enough like him, but not like him.
And then he's like doing his herky jerky, like broken bone thing the whole time when he walks around. And so it's like, is this all CGI? Is this actually Vincent D'Onofrio?
Which makes me think he's pretty good at this.
If he's doing what if I was actually a bunch of bugs and like purposely doing that physicality? Yeah, that's interesting. But I was like, is this like animatronic? Is this like a Chuck E. Cheese situation?
Honestly, when he pulls his face back and he's like, there, is that better? Like, that's obviously CG.
Yeah.
But the rest of the time, I mean, that's definitely his voice because you can hear it. He's doing a thing with his voice. You can hear him, but also the thing. So, yeah, that's my whole thing. And then I also know the further along we get in the movie, the worse his skin
just degrades.
Is starting to like degrade, and just,
I think it's all like blotchy and stuff. Yeah.
Which I think is something I never noted before this.
I didn't fully understand. There's always bugs coming out of his like sleeves and stuff.
Yeah.
But he is not a bunch of bugs in a trench coat. He's one giant, like strong cockroach bug thing that comes out at the end and eats Tommy Lee Jones and the guns and stuff.
Let's not jump ahead because I have points about that.
So like he just has a bunch of his little dudes in his sleeves with him for some reason. Yeah.
Or they just like him and they feel like it's
attracts them as he moves throughout New York City.
Well, maybe they just hopped on when he killed the exterminator guy. They're just like, this is a safe place. Let's just crawl up these little pant legs.
Yeah, it took me a while because they called him Bug. It took me a while to connect that with like him driving around the exterminator, like Pest Be Gone or whatever van. Yeah. And like that was trying to be like a joke, because he is a bug, but he's playing an exterminator or whatever.
Oh, our peanut gallery says maybe it's a hive mind kind of thing. But he's literally an alien.
Well, it's in like an Ant-Man situation, right? It's like he reaches out to all the cockroaches around him, except it's just grosser than Ant-Man.
No, okay, maybe.
So the neuralizer came out quickly.
Yeah.
Like I was expecting it to be a little more of a like, okay, let's hold out. Like everyone knows this is coming. It's been in the trailer. And no, it came out like really soon.
Yes.
And it strikes me how often they use it.
Yeah. Now you really understand when he's like talking later about you're going to give her brain cancer and because they use it all the time.
He doesn't try hard at all to utilize any other sort of like soft, like person to person techniques to like avoid situations where you would have to use it. He just goes into every situation with the plan being, I'm going to neuralize them.
Yes.
So I can just do whatever pretty heavy handedly.
Yeah. I always thought that was interesting too. And this is one of the favorite references we always bring back, light refracted off of swamp gas and caused an explosion or whatever. That's the flashy thing you saw.
Yeah.
You could always make references to that. But yeah, he breaks that out pretty quickly. And this is obviously thinking too hard about this, but days, months, years, that's not a lot of detail. You're just completely wiping their memory for the day. That's what you're doing.
Is it days, months, years? Is that the quote at the end? I didn't know if it was like minutes, months, years or something. Because the days being the smallest one is too heavy. Yeah, that's too much.
So we're just wiping out your whole day and then we're going to tell you what happened.
Yeah.
But you don't have a bunch of news articles of people being like, I just lost this whole point of time in my day and I don't know what happened.
I mean, I guess
like I can't remember
your brain sort
events.
of like reconstructs it. Oh, he told me this, so I guess like maybe I have a fuzzy memory of it. But it's not clear how it works. Like when's the cutoff for how long you can sit there and explain to them what the memory was?
Before
like when they get to Edgar's wife and they're just going and going and going.
You kicked him out. Yeah. So does she have two memories? One of K's and one of J's, or just J's?
Do they go together or? It was definitely a big movie for let's put Will Smith in a wacky situation and kind of clear out and let him be Fresh Prince of Bel-Air and let him Will Smith and just like be funny and just kind of like in a way that isn't necessarily like advancing the plot, but just like giving him a 30-second kind of bit to do.
Yes, we definitely have to suspend disbelief a little bit or a lot of it.
Yes.
Maybe. Okay, so next thing I have is this note. And I don't know why I have it here because it should have been later on in the movie, but Will Smith is keeping his gun tucked into his tied shirt that is around his waist. And I don't care who you are. If you know anything about gun safety, you are not doing that.
I didn't understand his outfits at all. I was like, is he wearing, it was like an orange prison jumpsuit, but he was wearing the shirt part around his
waist.
So like, was he undercover in prison?
No, it definitely was not a prison jumpsuit. It was more windbreaky type material.
The first one was orange.
It was definitely orange.
Who wears orange when you're not in prison?
People in the 90s
you play for the
and
Phoenix
80s.
Suns?
Aren't they purple?
Yeah, purple and orange.
Purple and orange, yeah.
Those are their two colors.
Points for me. The only sports reference I'm going to get.
What sport is it?
It's basketball.
There you go. Very good.
So 2. Anyways, that really annoyed me. There's no way to secure your gun there, and you're going to tie your jacket tighter. No, it's just.
I was concerned for him because like it was a good thing he had his dog tags on because he's just sprinting around waving a gun through the streets of New York.
Yeah.
Like as a black man. That's, and then but his superior officer is also black. And so I was like, this is just not part of our concern here, I guess. Because then he jumps off the overpass and that's the first quote I wrote down is,
It'd just be raining
black people in New York. Like, and he delivers it like pretty dryly too and just kind of keeps going. You don't see anyone's reaction to it. I thought that was good. That was maybe my favorite line.
And he really wanted that chase too, because I got tired just watching him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because that guy was like flying and he, instead of being like, oh, well, I can't catch him, he just like actually kept pursuing him.
And my knees were hurting so bad. I know I'm getting old when I see people jump from high distances and I'm like, oh, your knees.
Yeah. Yeah. Because even with the bus being there, jumping off an overpass like that it's like, that's scary stuff.
And come on, like nobody's crap was sitting in the middle of that bus aisle.
He jumped off blindly.
That was not a good call.
That was wild.
He's lucky.
So and he's just in great shape. Like this has got to be like right at his peak, like physically. I mean, I guess Independence Day, he has his shirt off more in that one, where he's down to just like an undershirt. But
I think that his
for him to be
strength in these movies are probably more endurance versus muscle, right? Like he's not doing a whole lot of muscle-y things.
Yeah, that's more, what's it called? The one where he's the last guy in New York and he's with his dog. I Am Legend. That's more I Am Legend, where he's like jacked, but in these he's more cut.
Yeah. I love when he goes into the place, into the headquarters. We skipped the Tony Shalhoub thing. Do you want to chat about that?
All I had was classic good cop, alien cop.
Yeah. And when he's walking out, I'm going to be back about these Rolexes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Love that. Love Tony Shalhoub. He looks so different because I'm used to seeing him in...
I didn't realize there was Tony Shalhoub until I saw it in the IMDb.
Yeah. In Mrs. Maisel and...
Monk.
Right. It's
he had
totally
his eyes...
different.
He had like one of his eyes was lazy. Like that must have been a prosthetic or something. That was crazy.
And he looks so young.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was crazy. Okay. So Will Smith goes into headquarters and the first thing they do, and this is always one of my favorites, the best of the best of the best, sir. And they give him the little test and they're all trying to figure out how to write on it. And Jeremy and I were talking about this and I was like, I would just stand up and put my paper on the top of the egg. Like it's a hard egg chair. Done. But anyways, he pulls the table over. This is another one of those things that we reference all the time. You want to get down on this? Love that. And I appreciate now how he goes into the room and they're doing the shooting, the little shooting thing. And he shoots the little girl. Not that I appreciate that he shot the little girl, but that he had to process. Okay, it's a movie, but in a real scenario, he had to process all of that quickly enough to come up with a viable excuse for shooting the little girl versus the aliens.
Well, I interpreted it as he was right, that he was the one that was doing it right, because everyone else just goes and is firing, bam, 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 and those are guys with names that they're shooting. It was very much, because I was expecting everything to be a trick. I mean, obviously, all these scenes from the Kingsman are taken from like this kind of thing where someone's in a test that they don't know about and everyone else is more prepared than them. And it's the one person that's acting differently from all the others and stuff like that. And so I was just assuming that, they want someone that is going against the grain. They want someone that is going to think outside the box for these, because you've got all of these other guys who are the exact same cookie cutter military guys. But he's right. Why would a 7-year-old girl have quantum physics books?
Right. And I know this is way too deep for this movie, but everybody else was just making an assumption based on the very first thing that they saw, and they weren't thinking about it anymore. And at least he took a second to stop and think about, like you said, why would this little girl have quantum physics books?
Yeah.
But along those lines, Zed talks to Kay, and makes the comment, well, he's got a problem with authority, and are you sure this is the guy that you want? So you were just saying that you think that's the guy that you watch, right? The guy that sticks out, does things a little differently, and here you've got Zed saying, like, I don't know about him.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that?
Well, because Zed's is the guy in a suit. Like, he's going to be the stuffy guy. And then so you need Kay to stick up for someone that's going to be more thinking outside the box for sure. Is this where we talk about Rip Torn as Zed?
If you want, sure.
Because I think that this was a missed opportunity casting wise. I thought that Rip Torn was doing an impression of what John Goodman would have been doing as Zed. I think they need either a bigger guy or an older guy. And I thought that John Goodman would have been perfect.
Oh, interesting.
Mm-hmm.
It would have never occurred to me at the time that they'd miscast that. And even now, I think just because I've seen the movie so many times, it's hard for me to see somebody else in it.
Really?
But he is in the later movies, and you might feel like he fits better.
Yeah.
Because, he'll have aged by then.
Have you seen Community?
Very, very little.
Okay. John Goodman is a dean or a vice dean of like one of the schools, and he's like, in a suit and is very like lording over people. I mean, he's such a big guy that he has this like commanding presence like automatically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And like the tone of his voice, like the depth, how deep his voice is, I just thought would have worked really well.
Yeah.
But the whole time I thought Rip Torn was a bad guy.
Oh, interesting.
The whole time. And especially at the end, I mean, I'm going to jump to the end here really quickly, when they finally blow up the alien and Kay pulls out his weired little pencil phone thing and is like we've got the galaxy, sir, blah, blah, blah. And he goes, okay, buddy. Like, he doesn't even say like anything official. And I was like, oh, something's wrong here.
So even at the end, you're still thinking,
I thought
isn't it? There's more.
When the credits ran, or like when it did the flash forward to Kay's been neuralized and all that stuff, and he's working with the doctor, the credits ran. Before that, I'd been expecting there to be another twist where he was like holding the galaxy thing, was about to get away, and they were going to have to stop him because he'd been orchestrating it the whole time.
Oh, interesting.
Yep. I thought we were going to zoom in. He was going to have a little thing on his ear, and he was going to be like a rival faction of the Arquellians or whatever.
Okay.
And there's going to be something inside of him.
Interesting. I
didn't trust him.
Never ever thought, like, that didn't even occur to me as a potential possibility.
I feel like if it was made now, they would have had to put in one more twist like that.
And that could totally be because you're seeing it with now eyes after seeing all of these other films that you've seen, and I was seeing it with 1997 eyes.
Yeah. And to that point, and this may be something that we talk about more later, but, in the very beginning, we were like, action adventure comedy, right? And they don't really make adventure films anymore. I mean, like, they're few and far between. The mid budget like family adventure Indiana Jones type of thing. Those are all Marvel movies now, or big budget like comic book movies, that kind of stuff. And where was I going with that? Yeah, so this kind of reminds me of like a proto Marvel movie. Yeah. This was like the first Ant-Man. This was like an origin story Marvel movie. It was at that right scale where you are saving the world, but also it's just in this one city, and then it's going to blow up into a bigger, the second one will be bigger stakes and stuff like that. So and in that Marvel movie, there's definitely one of the older up guys in his organization that was actually a bad guy. Like, there definitely would have been a twist. It would have been half an hour longer, and there would have been a twist.
Yeah. So interestingly enough, I don't know the exact information to support this claim, but I do know that Men in Black is or was a comic book.
Really? It was a Marvel comic book? Oh, it was
Marvel.
So is there any, and we'll turn to Jeremy here, I have to try to get on the other side of the mic. Is there any like producer connection? I mean, I didn't say Louis Desposito or Kevin Feige or anything on this, but I think I felt like the tone in a lot of ways spoke to or sort of informed. I mean, like Iron Man or those early Marvel movies, Captain America, are calling back to a movie like this more than almost anything else.
Captain America.
He did say Captain America. That's true.
Best of the best of the best.
Sir, with honors.
I just assumed that was more of like a everyone knows who Captain America is, just like pop culture reference type of thing. Like calling him Babe Ruth or something. Because of Fox something or...
Okay, if you couldn't hear, Men in Black was not originally a Marvel comic, but falls under their ownership.
Interesting. The rights. So definitely very eggsy. I was surprised that Kay neuralized him the first time after Tony Shalhoub.
I was kind of surprised about that too. Like, I had forgotten that happened.
If you want him, if you're trying to recruit him, why neuralize him right here? Truly, you just had to re-explain what was going on for no reason.
I wonder if they didn't want it to really inform him for his testing.
So that he would be testing more clean slate.
Maybe.
Did you think the other military guys already knew what they were trying out for more than he did?
I kind of got that vibe, because why else would they be shooting the aliens?
Mm-hmm. So what's the point of any of this?
Yeah, I didn't know.
They didn't ask him any specific questions that would have given him a leg up from that little interaction he'd already had with Kay.
Yeah.
Kay's just neuralizer happy. He's right. He's giving people brain cancer.
He definitely is neuralizer happy. So we come out of the testing and he's like, I'm going to give you some time to think about it, blah, blah, blah. And this is another one of those one-liners that I love when they're chatting about, all the aliens all over everything. A person is smart. People are dumb.
Right. True.
And it's so true. And so many times Jared and I are doing something and we always say people are stupid, not dumb, and we misquote it. But the idea is the same. A person is smart, and people, when they get together, they get all mobby, and they stop using their brain sometimes.
Start thinking with their dipsticks.
It's just ridiculous. So that is one of my favorite lines in this movie.
Absolutely. And during that section, though, he wasn't selling him that hard. Like, there wasn't a lot of perks. I mean, it's cool that there's aliens involved, and that was the only selling. Like, there was no salary, vacation. There was no, like, you're going to get access to, like, this or that. It was just like, I don't know, what do you think? You should do this. And he had, like, barely introduced him to it.
I think it's, like, you can't just do this job like any other job because the anonymity, which he didn't really go into, which I feel like he should have. Although he kind of alluded to it.
Drop all of your human connections or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, you can't really do anything else and this job. So if you don't feel really drawn to do it in the first place, like, don't even try. Mm-hmm. Like, if you don't absolutely love that clothing item in the store, you're never going to wear it when you take it home.
Yeah.
So if you don't if you're having this conversation with Kay and you don't absolutely feel deep in your bones that you need to do this to figure out what else is out there and everything, then don't bother going back. Although I'm kind of like, if he decided not to, how do they track him down and neuralize him?
Right. Well, I mean, how do they track him down? Like, he got on his computer and went like click, click, click and pulled up like that.
Oh, I know.
They can.
Because it's super easy to do that. Don't you know?
Yeah, they can follow it. Well, when you've got enough technology and government assets on your side, I guess it probably is that easy.
My other fun thing that I write down, so he decides he's going to take the job, he goes back in, and I know that they kind of use this as a throwaway bit, but as somebody who goes to work and has, interviewed and applied for jobs in my lifetime, I love that he says, you chose me, so recognize the skills.
Yeah.
Which I think is really, again, kind of a funny thing, but realistic. You did pick me. These are the things that you liked about me. Just don't forget that. Because he's going to screw up and do stupid things, but that's one of the things that they kind of picked him for, his outside of the box thinking.
Yeah. That was one. So, I mean, I haven't really mentioned any of this yet, but I didn't, the one-liners don't always like really grab me. Like, I think it's kind of era contextual. Like, Ant-Man or Iron Man, like, I think to me are funnier. Like, so like a bit like that, where he's like, I don't like being called, I don't want to be called Bud or Son or whatever. Yeah. And then, he immediately calls him slick, and then Rip Torn says it a couple of times, but he never does anything about it. It doesn't trigger him. It's not like Michael J. Fox getting called chicken and getting mad in Back to the Future. It doesn't it's just, it's supposed to be funny in and of itself, and it just wasn't quite enough for me. Like there were some bits like that they wanted they wanted him to do a one-liner and just like make a face, and like I'm supposed to just like crack up at it. So some of those things like didn't totally hit home for me, and that was one of them. I wanted it to come back. Like I said, having something to do with Rip Torn being a bad guy, or like, he misremembers, he's a secret Skrull, like something. And it never really, I don't know, it didn't land for me. My favorite thing that did land, they go to Edgar's house, they talk to the wife before they neuralize her and stuff, and they're looking in no, this is after the neuralizer. They're looking in where the ship landed, and he takes the sample and everything. And he's like, when can I get one of them, memory device thingies? And I don't remember what he says.
Like when
he's
you grow up or something.
Yeah, you grow up. And then he like flips him off like as he scratches his head. And he's just like looking at him really seriously as like that was funny. Like that was just like a normal human interaction. It wasn't Will Smith like trying to be funny. Trying so hard to be funny with like curling up really weird in the egg, when you're like, okay, like I get that, like, it's trying to be funny that he's like too big and like the egg isn't shaped right, but you would just fix it any one of like several pretty straightforward ways, right. And so when those bits that were more grounded, like versus him just going, whoa, there's an alien baby, and then like flipping up and down. I mean, like, and that was kind of like just because in the background too, it wasn't like, if we were just focused on that and we didn't have the stuff with Kay, that wouldn't have like landed as much for me. Yeah,
so, I agree.
I don't want it to try too hard.
That baby it's was asking kind a lot. Like interestingly cute looking.
Oh yeah, it was cute. Mm-hmm. Yeah, in a very Guardians of the Galaxy type of way, I thought.
Maybe
like like that kind of thing where Quill is like fighting with whatever, and it comes out as this little baby, or how he Quill didn't he sleep with like women of all kinds of different alien races or something in Guardians of the Galaxy, or because in the very first one he has a girl over in his ship or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm with you.
It seemed like the kind of bit that would have come out or something like that. I do like how good Tommy Lee Jones is at being like, I'm Dr. Mannheim and this is Dr. White and we're from this place. Like he can just whip those out so quickly.
Yeah.
And him calling Will Smith Dr. White that was pretty funny.
And there's like a really big explanation for him, and he's very simple explanation for Will Smith. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Doctor, whatever your name is.
And so I got the impression that they were just doing that almost as an excuse to have Will Smith just improvise himself like in a funny way out of whatever situation it is. And so I wonder, do you think any of that actually was improv?
Yes.
Yeah, I think so. Like
because I just read something that was talking about a couple lines that were improv, but I don't remember what they were now.
I could see like anything from them in the morgue where he's like half flirting but half trying to pretend he's a doctor when he reaches into the body, and
yep, they're all fine.
Some of that kind. Yeah. Well, what I meant was it's just very Fresh Prince.
Also, I really liked that little alien. We skipped ahead the whole bit about meeting Rosenberg and his
the tiny dudes and the heads
friend.
and the murders at the diner. Yes. So like some of the bits, like the standalone bits didn't work for me, but the diner stuff I thought did. Like when he just like kills him really quick, or he had like folded the guy all the way in half and stuck him on the shelf. Some of that was pretty good.
I like how the big tough cook guy is standing there. He's like, you're not getting out of here.
Just immediately launches him out of the way. Yeah.
And I feel like you were supposed to think that he's like this big tough guy, and then bam, gone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the one guy was so big and tall that it turned out they were both just mech suits for little tiny alien boys.
And I really liked the Rosenberg alien guy. Like he was kind of a cute little alien too.
Mm-hmm. Oh, just the little one himself.
Yeah.
When he's like, Orions.
Yeah.
Did you think that the Orion's belt bit was like a good misdirect with taking him to I figured it out pretty quickly that it was something that it was the cat, it was on the cat's collar or whatever. And so I thought it could have been a little subtler, but maybe people were just dumber going to the movies in 1997. They needed to have their hand held because it had like his name on the wall a bunch of times. You saw his collar, and it was like very like repeatedly. I thought it was a little heavy handed. What did you think?
I think people were more distracted with all of the special effects and everything that they weren't necessarily paying attention to those. I think movies nowadays, I don't know.
Hide Easter eggs harder.
They hide Easter eggs harder. Or if you know that's the kind of movie you like, you seek those movies out.
Yeah.
Like you want to be looking into it and finding the puzzle pieces, and you know what I mean? But I don't think that was as common back
more
then.
Like specialized, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I mean, Marvel movies have so many Easter eggs in them, and those are as mainstream as it gets right now. I guess Star Wars 2 is going to have Easter eggs in it.
I think at one point I pulled together that it was the cat. Orion was the cat, but it wasn't the first thing that I thought of. I also don't know that I buy the little alien guy not understanding what a collar is.
Mm-hmm.
If
also,
he had very obviously been living on Earth.
How did he happened to just die exactly then? Like he lived there struggling, almost dead in this body the whole time until Will Smith opens it up and then he's got 15 more seconds of life. That was very convenient.
Yeah.
He had no visual injuries either. How did he die?
He was zapped through the neck with the stinger. Oh, you mean the little alien guy didn't have visible injuries. You don't know that like that wasn't his leg or something that got struck through.
Okay, and then he died.
Was he
developed an infection?
All in the head?
I think he was all in the head.
Okay. Maybe. That's kind of more like what I was thinking.
Well, but then why is the cadaver, his bodysuit dead or dead equivalent? And he doesn't, if he can't breathe oxygen, you told me he doesn't have a failsafe where the head can pop off and he can scurry away to get into his own tank, or, I mean, that's really poorly made then. Because what the guy did was he stabbed both of them in the neck, didn't he?
Yes.
Isn't that what Vincent D'Onofrio did?
So let's say he cut out the central control system when he did that.
Okay.
For lack of a better term.
Okay. So now you've got this whole super complicated thing, but like, hope nothing ever happens to your suit's neck because then you're totally screwed immediately.
Poor planning on their part for their mech suits.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, they're coming to Earth for asylum, though, or what did he call it? Apolitical what?
Yeah, an apolitical, planet or whatever. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So you're not expecting to get, or is it
counterpoint, if you're needing to seek asylum and you're the crown prince of whatever, you kind of are expecting to be followed.
I do also love how Tommy Lee Jones recognized him right away. Oh, that's Rosenberg, the crown prince of the Archelians. They loved him or whatever.
How did he track him down? How did he know he was at that diner? The bug.
He saw him leave and followed him.
Oh, that's right.
He saw him leave the jewelry store and followed him to the diner.
That's right. So he went to his house.
Yeah.
He went to his jewelry store.
He went to his jewelry store.
He looked him up. He'd gotten a tip off that Rosenberg was actually the crown prince or whatever.
The guardian of the galaxy.
Marvel.
Did you recognize the really tall, bone-structured guy from the Men in Black headquarters?
The second time we saw him.
Yeah. You're like, oh, yeah, he was from there. Okay. I
remember him saying specifically because they asked for the duration of his stay, and he said lunch.
Lunch, yeah.
Yeah, I remember that he had said that.
How about when I know we're jumping around a little bit, but back in the morgue when he's like, you ever flashy thing me?
Yeah. And
nope.
Okay, I'm being serious. Did you ever flashy thing me?
We're up to the point where we've got Rosenberg's dead. The bug has the little capsule of diamonds. We're trying to figure out what's going on. All the aliens are evacuating Earth, essentially. And we get Frank the Pug.
There was so much less Frank the Pug than I was expecting there to be. I thought Frank the Pug was going to then become their third sidekick. The little wisecracking dude.
So I think what happened is everybody liked him so much in this movie, he gets a bigger role in the next one.
Got it.
But I did notice, like, when they go to talk to him, there's, like, the very ghostly looking man.
Yeah.
And Kay just, like, stands in front of the guy in this very awkward way. And then the guy, like, backs up.
I remember him going and grabbing Frank the Pug, but I didn't think it was weird. I thought the guy was there so that Will Smith could go, oh, that guy's obviously an alien. Like, that isn't even a good costume.
That's exactly what he was there for. But then they didn't give him a good out, which I definitely noticed.
He just kept shaking the dog.
Which, listen, as a dog lover, I don't love that. But at least the dog didn't die.
It didn't resonate with me that much because you couldn't do that to my dogs because they're too big.
That's
so that's you as a
You're
small
like, that's
dog
unrealistic.
owner. Yeah. Well, I'm just like, no, not a problem for me. Like that's only a problem for people with little dogs, and they should get bigger dogs next time.
So then we get guns.
Mm-hmm.
Get the little noisy cricket.
But still has a bunch of kickback and blows stuff up.
Which is crazy.
Yeah.
Also, this is very poor gun safety. You need to explain the kind of weapon you're giving to a new
About
user.
the recoil.
Obviously, they should train on it before they take it out into the wild.
I didn't have time.
I'm just saying.
There's no time. My notes really fall off here in terms of quantity because I'm just like watching. Like there's a lot going on.
Yes,
it's fast paced. I'm just trying to stay with it.
So I do love, we get to the second morgue scene and
she's pointing down and he keeps thinking that she's like propositioning
oh yeah, baby,
him.
uh-huh.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean like in a little bit, but and like I want to say he's being kind of dense there, which is like the point, but also like I mean, it was kind of hard to tell like exactly what she wasn't being super
She was
clear.
not being super helpful. Yeah.
Well, she couldn't be. I mean, like, welcome to being in that kind of situation. So I get it. But
I mean, I've never been in that situation, but I feel like she could have done just a little bit better.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But it all goes up because the cat jumps on the tray or whatever, the cart that's in between them, and the bug grabs him and goes. And also, I felt really bad about her head getting slammed through the window as he jumps up the window. Yeah. Like, ouch.
I thought the cat was going to be one of the cats from Captain Marvel. A Flurkin or whatever that can like... Yeah. I thought he was... not necessarily that, but he was going to be a little more than just a cat.
Also, I was excited to see the cat because I like animals in movies, and it was a really cute little cat.
How many cats do you think played that cat?
I don't know.
I bet Jeremy will look it up. I said it.
Definitely more than one.
Yeah.
I also, this is another part that's like real life applicable so Will Smith is firing into the road and all of this stuff. And Tommy Lee Jones, Kay, is like, what are you doing? Knock it off. And he's like, I don't know if you've forgotten, but there's a bug and blah, 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 and our Killian battleship. And Kay's like, there's always... a death ray or whatever. There's always an emergency. And the only way people survive it is they keep going on with their lives. And it's just like saying, like, these guys are in this job where everything is always an emergency, and it adjusts the way you approach things. Like if everything's an emergency, nothing is. So you have to respond.
Get jaded.
Yeah. Accordingly, which I think is very lifey. So they're back at headquarters and we get the old guy's comment. They're trying to figure out where he could be taking off. And this is what leads me to one of my repetitive beefs with all movies.
Every movie.
He's going to take off.
It's like too whimsical. Okay, let's just get to the point. Okay, brass tacks.
He's going to take off in one of the ships
ignoring me.
from the World's Fair. And my whole point is, if we think back to when he's rolling his ship that he came to Earth on into the exterminator van, he's got to break the roof so it sits in there properly. And you're like, okay, yeah, that's right. That works. But in just another scene or two, we see him basically strip off his Edgar suit. And he's huge.
He's huge. He's very big.
He is very big.
How did he fit into that?
Fit in the freaking spaceship?
He must have been a bunch of little bugs. He can probably debug, like in Stranger Things season 3.
Spoiler alerts for Stranger Things.
Spoiler alerts for Stranger Things season 3, which came out in summer 2019. When he's the meat flayer, and it's like he can like melt down and like go through grates and stuff like that, and then like form back up.
See, now I'm just thinking of Terminator, so there's that.
You know I haven't seen Terminator, right?
Well, I'm just saying. Maybe we should add that to the
He's
list.
like Luigi from Luigi's Mansion 2.
No.
Not even you're not sure. A firm no.
Firm no, I don't get that reference.
I didn't think you were going to get the reference. The reference wasn't for you. The reference was for both of our other listeners.
For both of our other listeners. The two that we know we have.
Rachel and Jeremy.
Jeremy does listen to it. So
Nice.
I think we're up to maybe 4.
Nice.
Okay,
I
I'm
don't.
sorry, but how does he fit in the spaceship? I'm just saying. And then
Yeah.
when they crashed
I didn't even
the
think
one
about that.
spaceship, how did he fit into there?
Well, that spaceship was huge.
Was it?
It was big.
It didn't look that big. And
How
then
does he fit into the Edgar suit? It's magic. It's alien magic. Alien technology magic.
okay, how does Tommy Lee Jones fit in the bug's belly and come out
That I don't know.
full person?
That I don't know. We got like one shot of him in there with the amniotic fluid, and
Yeah.
that was it. And they were like, okay, yada, yada, he's going to get out of this.
Yeah, I just don't understand all that. And I'm sorry, but
Mhm.
these are the things that bother me about movies. I don't have a lot. Let's be honest. I don't have a lot that bothers me about movies.
You're being sarcastic, right?
Actually, I wasn't.
Everything. You don't like any of the movies that I bring to the podcast.
But that's not
Whimsy,
the same
one.
as not
Animals dying.
liking them for myself is not the same as being like super annoyed about their existence.
Gotcha.
Like I can appreciate that other people like them, but this perspective thing about things fitting where they
We have to be consistent
me.
about having the vehicles be big enough. You're not annoyed by Kay being able to drive upside down on a tunnel.
nope, push the little red button. I'm good with that.
So as long as they put in a MacGuffin of some kind where it's like, oh, because I did this, then now it's explained away, then you're good.
If they explain it, fine. Then I will accept that somebody at least thought about the fact that Kay couldn't actually fit inside the bug.
Mm-hmm. Kay fitting inside the bug, that one's tough. Him fitting inside the
first
bug fitting
spaceship.
inside the first spaceship, I'm not that worried about that just because it's a spaceship. Like
But
it
I
can
don't
have some kind of
understand why this
condensing
doesn't-
technology
Okay.
that they're not explaining. I mean, this movie doesn't do any explaining of anything. Like it is very exposition light. Like
Yes.
we are used to we now in 2023 are used to movies that understand the intelligence of the audience. Like we're gonna have to explain stuff to them, or else all the nerds online are going to get mad about how this is inconsistent with this or that. And back then it was like it's an alien spaceship. Like
Who cares?
Yeah, he'll freaking figure it out. I think.
But see, this thing has not gotten better with time. Size and perspective has not gotten better with time. They're still screwing it up in movies today.
Like what?
I don't remember. The next time I find one, I'll text you.
That's literally the entire premise of Ant-Man. I think they nailed it.
No,
And
I
Ant-Man
buy
2.
that one
Ant-Man
because
3 is bad.
he literally
And
shrinks.
I stand by it. Quantum Mania. There weren't enough ants.
He literally shrinks and gets big. Like
Great.
I buy that.
Right. They're doing a good job.
Yeah.
So they're good at it in movies
Okay,
now.
Ant-Man doesn't count.
Oh, okay.
Like that's the one
movie
good
about-
movie they did it in. The one good movie they did it in. Okay, so anyways, they get the galaxy, yay, and we find out towards the end of that
That Zed's a bad guy. Rip Torn ends up betraying everyone. Pulls a
that
giant
Tommy
neuralizer.
Lee Jones is training a replacement.
Mhm. We missed them just straight up popping his airport. 2 shots, 1 shot each from 2 guns that looked different,
Yeah.
but had the same ball of light come out of them. 2 shots, all it took, and then it landed right there, back next to them.
Yeah,
You're not concerned about that?
nah,
That's all fine.
that's fine. I don't have
But why
to
is
be
the
concerned about
spaceship
it.
too small?
Because they,
Interesting.
yeah, I don't know.
Interesting.
That's the thing that bothers me. And as somebody who's very particular about movies, I would have thought it bothered you too, but it doesn't.
No, I didn't notice that. It didn't bother. I mean, what I just said bothered me more is why would it land in that exact same place?
I don't think
Maybe
it did.
he's
It landed
purposely
behind
steering
them.
it back. Within 100 yards. He's purposely steering it back there so we can get to the other one that they haven't blown up yet. Okay, I'm back in.
You're back in.
Yep,
I'm with
that's
you now.
fine. That makes sense.
Kay is training a replacement and not a partner.
I didn't like this. This was stupid. This was too abrupt.
Yeah, because 2 days of
trained
training.
now. He's trained now after 2 days.
After 2 days.
He doesn't know freaking anything. He can't
Exactly.
speak any of the languages. He doesn't know what any of the things are. Doesn't know any of the protocols. He doesn't have a password. You can't tell me he can log into the HR database. He can't clock in, clock out. He's on a 37-hour day or something.
Exactly.
No, this is ridiculous. Kay isn't even that old. He just did perfectly fine with all of the physical travails. We got one scene of him being like, man, remember that girl I didn't get to marry, when he was zooming in on her and she was gardening and only wearing like a pink men's dress shirt or something. That was kind of weird. And that's it.
That's it.
And so now we're like, oh, Kay has a rich inner life, personal life with personal ambitions, and he wants to retire already. We already had D get too old and retire at the beginning, and Kay is way more on it than that guy and way younger. So it doesn't make any sense.
I agree.
I didn't buy it. I didn't like it.
That's why I brought it up, because it annoyed me.
It annoyed me.
The one thing. Also, I'm like, why is he retiring? I don't understand why he's retiring and not moving to a different position in the company.
He should be the new Zed.
If he didn't want to be
Zed
running
was a bad
around.
Guy. Yeah, he could just be in there. Yeah, just be in there.
Okay.
Just be a diplomat or something.
Then we get to the end.
And now the lady coroner is a man in black.
Yes.
Okay.
Agent L, probably, because her name's Laurel.
I don't know.
But anyways, my note here is that they upgraded the glasses.
Disagree. Downgraded. The new glasses look stupid. I have a note.
They look kind of goggly.
Second to last note. Bad news. Will's new glasses look terrible. They were very Matrix-y.
They were very Matrix-y. That is exactly what I thought.
They were very turn of the century. I thought they were bad. I only like one type of sunglasses. What is it?
I don't know.
Aviators are the only good sunglasses.
Oh.
Every other sunglasses makes you look like you are a racist middle-aged white man who's filming a video in his car about how, we should never forgive student loans or whatever. It's like you have a son that plays baseball and you yell at him whenever he strikes out.
I feel
Those are
so
just your
bad
regular
for
Oakleys or whatever.
I resent that.
You don't look like a thumb. You have hair. And I appreciate that.
Okay, so
Aviators.
Obvious change in the glasses. How about that? Maybe I won't say
don't like
upgrade.
the aviators are closely correlated with police officers, but other than that, aviators.
That's all I have. And then
I have one more note.
go. What's your note?
The rapping over the end credits was dated. Is Will Smith being like, aliens are my biggest friends, and when we hang out, the fun never ends. I go up, down, left, right. It was not good.
So there's a music video with an alien in it.
Is it terrible?
I think it's hilarious.
Okay, so it's terrible.
It probably is. And I thought if you wanted to watch it, we could watch it. The other note that I have is we definitely know there was puppeteering in this, and kudos to them because some of those aliens looked really cool.
Yeah, love a puppet. They just, every time I saw like those aliens who were like drinking coffee and smoking cigarettes.
Yes, I love them.
I was like, that is very much out of a Marvel movie. Like the little just wisecracking, like jerk sidekick alien worms.
I think they call them the worms.
Definitely out of a Marvel movie.
And they also were in the second one. Fun fact.
Yeah, I told you that I'd started listening to a podcast that is just about bad movies where they were covering Men in Black 2, right?
No.
I stopped listening to it once I knew we were going to watch this. I stopped listening to that episode.
Okay. That one was not one of my favorites.
It's not exactly critically acclaimed.
We did forget to talk about when they walk up to the observation at MIB headquarters, all of the famous people that are aliens.
I didn't see any of that. Who were they?
Okay, so I have a list.
Oh, okay. No, you're talking about Sylvester Stallone and
Steven Spielberg.
Steven Spielberg, I saw. Well, he was a producer on it. That was more of an Easter egg than anything else. I
George
did like that.
Lucas.
Sure, same thing.
Al Roker.
Yep, Al Roker was on there.
Dionne Warwick.
Okay.
Barry and Chloe
Manilow.
Sonnenfeld.
Okay, so it's a lot of people like associated with the movie.
Yeah, except, Sly's not associated with the movie.
Yeah.
But anyway, so that was fun. And then how
Fox
about when he's laughing, he's like, that's strange, right? And he's like, no, I swear, my third grade teacher.
Yeah.
And he automatically knows what teacher.
Yeah.
Love that.
Well, there's only 1,500 in the world, and most of them are in New York.
Yeah. So that's Men in Black. So would you watch it again?
I wouldn't. I'm not going to seek it out to watch it again.
But would you turn it off if somebody else was watching? Would you be like,
I wouldn't do that with hardly any. If I would just leave if someone else was watching it. I would probably not stick. If someone was like, "Hey, watching Men in Black tonight," I probably would not come over for that. I think I've got it
somewhere else.
I think I've got it, and I think that I would watch a Marvel movie to get the same fix.
Yeah,
I think I get it. It's like, what if it's like it's like Iron Man, but like instead of, people say like 2.0, like the Evolve version, it's like 0.75. It's like they didn't quite have the formula. I mean, it's short and it's breezy, and I like that about it. And Tommy Lee Jones is really good. But it's really, they were like, okay, let's make a movie where Will Smith acts goofy with a bunch of aliens, and it doesn't quite. And he doesn't quite, it doesn't quite all hit for me, but I'm not watching it in that context where he's like the biggest star on the planet at this point, and this is what everyone wants is more of him, just Will Smith making his faces and doing Will Smith things. And I get that.
By the way, Will Smith wasn't the first choice.
Really?
Or maybe I shouldn't say wasn't the first choice. I would say there were other actors that were
considered,
highly considered. Yeah.
Wow.
One being David Schwimmer.
For the Will Smith part?
Yeah.
I guess I can see him being like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
Like kind of making faces about stuff. Yeah.
And I also
David
read
Schwimmer.
somewhere that
slightly endorsed moment for him.
Clint Eastwood
was
approached for the Tommy Lee Jones role.
Same thing. Yep.
So how does this, just to step it back for a second, how do you, Tommy Lee Jones in Men in Black versus Tommy Lee Jones in No Country for Old Men?
Right. Very different. I mean, he's much more animated in this. He's much more active.
Which is saying a lot because it's not like he's super animated.
Yeah. I think he jumps up and down there at the end to get the alien to eat him. I think my bigger takeaway is how not that different he looks. I mean, I guess those movies are only like 10 or 12 years apart probably. But I think he pulls off both really well. I think he's really good in both.
It's like he's older, but he's like sort of frozen at that age in a lot of his movies. Like that's just sort of.
And you want to say that he's funnier in this, but there's an undercurrent of his like kind of good old, sheriff, making light of tough situations with humor. Like he's not totally stoic in every scene. Like he, drinks coffee and kind of jokes around with his secretary about, oh, another one of these tomorrow or whatever. So like you kind of see those comedy chops to some extent. But I mean, as far as like Jeremy was saying, the improv and that kind of stuff, that is cool to that he can do that.
Yeah.
So I think it's a testament to you can anchor very different kinds of movies around Tommy Lee Jones.
Yeah.
Not that he's much more a co-lead. I mean, there's 2 co-leads of this, and then there's 3 of No Country for Old Men, right? With
he
Chigurh.
Works very good with other people, or like. I don't want to say he works very good. Like maybe they argue all the time. I don't know. I didn't look that up, but he does really well when there are movies that he can play off of different people with, I think. Yeah. In The Fugitive, which you haven't seen.
Correct.
That one is definitely not comedy.
No, he's not hilarious.
Isn't
that about Harrison Ford getting framed for murdering his wife or something?
Yes.
Okay.
Not a lot of comedy in that one. But he still has this very... Like at the very beginning of this movie, when they are, when he's with Dee, and they're like, the special teams comes in, and he's
I'm telling
like,
you this right now, he was not speaking Spanish there. That was dubbed over. That was ADR'd. That was not coming out of Tommy Lee Jones's mouth.
Why didn't we bring that up?
I do not think it was coming out.
I'm glad you said it now.
The Spanish was pretty good.
Yeah.
His Spanish was pretty good. It was better. His Spanish was much better than the cops. But definitely Tommy Lee Jones and maybe the cop were not speaking it extemporaneously at that moment.
Yeah. After the Spanish part, when the special teams comes in and he's like, we need a perimeter and we need this, that was very The Fugitive because he delivers very similar lines in a very similar way. But there's none of this
leadership.
Yeah, he definitely has a very good leadership role in that movie too, but not a lot of the underlying humor because the subject of that movie is way more serious.
Yeah, it's so dark.
But it's still really good. And like you said, the way he can anchor different types of movies. Okay, I think that's it for Men in Black.
Follow us on Instagram, Tumblr. We should have a Tumblr. I would run our Tumblr. It would be weird, too. Are we okay with it being weird?
You do whatever
you want. It's on Tumblr,
want.
so it has to be weird.
Okay, or you can call us at 240-668-4376 and tell us about how you think Will Smith putting his gun in his tied around his waist jacket is utterly ridiculous. And you can also be on my side with the whole size perspective thing.
Yeah, just be on Jess's side.
I
for
need
everything.
some more backup
That's
there.
fine.
Call or text. You can text too.
240 Flabber. Same thing.
240-668-4376.
Call or text.
All right. Bye.
Goodbye. Okay, we're doing a live watch of
the Men in Black
the
music
Men in
video.
Black music video. Aliens are my favorite sport. I love the way they dribble up and down the court. The chorus is "Here Come the Men in Black." It's a little heavy-handed. Where were all these people?
Remember that, just in case we ever face to face and make contact. The title held by me, MIB, means what you think you saw, you did not see. So don't blink.
Jeremy, you're gonna cut in this music so we don't. It's not gonna be coming through the speakers.
Walk in shadow, move in silence, guard against extraterrestrial violence. But yo, we ain't on no government list. We straight don't exist, no names and no fingerprints. Saw something strange, watch your back, cause you never quite know where the MIBs is at.
I think that Will Smith should stick to acting. I'm also judging it by 2023 standards of rapping.
Now, from the deepest of the darkest of night on the horizon, bright light into sight tight, camera zoom on the impending doom. But then like boom, black suits fill the room up with the
I want it to be known for the audience that Jeremy can rap every single word of this.
Turn to fantasies. Ain't no MIBs, can I please? Do what we
I've never seen Wild Wild West.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see a noisy cricket get wicked on you. We're your first, last, and only line of defense against the worst scum of the universe. So don't fear us, cheer us. If you ever get near us, don't jeer us. We're fearless, MIBs.
Yeah, that part was okay.
Men in Black. And this is the guy from the beginning.
Yeah, but like all CGI worse version of him.
Definitely.
Doesn't mean they're not over their skis.
Let me see you just bounce it with me, just bounce with me, just bounce it with me. Come on, let me see you just slide with me, just slide with me, just slide.
Oh, I love them trying to make it into a wedding dance song.
Take a walk with me, come on, and make your neck work. Now freeze.
I love that the alien is dancing.
This is so long.
I know we might seem imposing, but trust me, if we ever show in your section, believe me, it's for your own protection. Cause we see things that you need not see, and we be places that you need not be. So go with your life, forget the Roswell crap, show love.
This would be good if Tommy Lee Jones was in it.
Outside of just the clips that they're showing.
I don't know if he's been in any clips.
He was.
Oh, like of the
movie
ship
scenes,
landing
yeah,
and
stuff
coming
like
back.
that.
Yeah.
Now, Agent K or Jay never would have stopped there. He would have kept running.
Yes, absolutely. He would have sprinted after the car.
And then you get neuralized.
And they work the neuralizer so quickly. He's like swivels it to how many minutes or hours or years he wants it just immediately.